Do you feel in the changing room, or you were just saying about the conversation, just a normal conversation, does somebody actually say and talk about mental health in that way? Or is it still a little bit of a stigma around that it's not as open as it should be?
Yeah, it's definitely, like, even before we've just come to obviously have this chat now, and it's obviously, you know, there's people that are trained in the right questions to ask and the right things to say, and like me and you were just having like the honest conversation now. So literally what's coming off, you know, the tip of my tongue is how I feel, this is who I am, and I think this is the best way to do it, because all this sort of stage kind of things and stuff is you probably sometimes say the answer people want to hear, and it's kind of like directed in a way that, you know, a lot of the questions that, you know, media ask and stuff sort of give a general answer all the time. And, you know, the things that are refreshing for me whenever I see sort of news interviews is refreshing stuff that people talk about things that relate to them, that I can relate to them as well, rather than it just be a generic answer and stuff. So when the boys are obviously in the changing room, there's a lot more now that we sort of ask, because of it's been highlighted, especially at this club, of what's gone on. We come here with the same drive and goal to go out to train, to get wins. You know, we travel down on the coach, we stay at the hotels together. So those conversations will happen in small groups, but maybe not as a big majority. And you probably feel like you know, gravitate towards certain people. I always feel like I gravitate to people that have similar traits to me, and it just happens naturally. And like I said, I don't even overthink that. I think in a group, sometimes somebody coming into a new group or somebody coming into a new room, especially if you've changed jobs, or, you know, even if you're just coming now to the fans to the games and they're just seeing people again, you know, that awkward first talk, first chat, and what do you say, how do you go about it? But I think you just got to let it flow and naturally gravitate to those who, you know, come back to you and make the effort with you. And I can sometimes get a feel of, you know, not somebody who I'm going to get along with and not get along with, but who I'm going to be close with and not. And I think, like I say, it's not putting pressures on you to go into a new environment, a new job role, and hit it from the ground running, because it might take time. It might take somebody one day, it might take somebody a year. There should be no sort of process on this. And it's, like I said, it's about coming out to be the best version of who you are and who sort of your group are going to be around you. Whether you have a big, massive group of friends, that you have a big social media following, or, you know, whether you've just got one or two people, it doesn't matter. It's just what you're comfortable in, it's what your happy lifestyle is, it's what your go-to is. So for me, obviously, like I say, there'll be groups, we try and keep everybody together, which is best for the whole. But you'll get groups that sort of gravitate to each other and sort of, you know, we have a funny laugh here where the dads, they all have a chat because who's got the most sleep last night. I mean, I've literally just had two twins, so newborn twins and a little girl. So for me, I share some of the stuff that some of the other boys have had, you know, when they've, you know, Zeki, who's here as well, has got twins. So I can go and talk to him because I found something that we relate, and it's just something simple that starts the conversation off. And we talk now, we're open, our partners talk on social media and just give little bits of help and support here and there. So that's another good reason why social media is, because you can't get out there to everybody. So you could literally message somebody, you know, all they can say is no. Or they can open up and tell you what you need or what you want to know. So you just got to put yourself out there a little bit and just see what flows naturally. And recently, obviously, it's been highlighted here for some of the stuff you get hit a bit by, you know, we're not just footballers. Like you mentioned, you're talking to Liam as the dad, the husband, you know, and there is a bigger picture away from football. Although football is our everyday lifestyle, and we literally live for football, and I'll be at that point in, you know, hopefully a good few more years where I'm going to be making decisions to go down another path. And like I say, that could be a tough time for me, but it might not be. It might just naturally flow. It might flow into something, you know, like I said, things manifest, and we've had a couple of people in positions here that have literally had their career stopped shorter than what they would have wanted, and they've gone into a new role and literally just, you know, gone with the flow, accepted what it is, and literally, you know, hit it straight on. not put pressure on to deliver well or be anything better than they needed to be. Just learn, just sort of be open, like I said. Be willing to, sometimes I'm quite stubborn in an opinion, but I think the best thing is, if you can be open to what, somebody says to you. The minute you shut it down, you're not really learning anything, because it might not be right, but it's engaging with somebody else of what their beliefs or what they think, and your interactions there then. And like I said, I just feel like how our dressing room and most football dressing rooms are so diverse. It'd be the same as if you work in an office. We now probably know more about lifestyles away from football of individuals than I ever did. I used to come to football and just see, one of the lads is our striker. He's the one who's going to score us the goals and whatever. But what's he like away from the pitch? That's important to know. You're surrounded by that in your team, and it's important. And that's probably part of my job as well as a leader, as a captain, of knowing what individuals I've got around me, and what triggers them and what sort of gets them focused, feeling good, and being able to be the best version of them. Because it's not about being the best footballer, it's being about the best version of them and what they can bring out in themselves.
So let me take it back a little bit.
Yeah.
So Liam the footballer, as opposed to Liam the captain.
Yeah.
And the difference between being a footballer and a captain, being a captain is huge in the sense, because you feel that responsibility.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
How do you go about engaging with each footballer that's there, and do you see something in them to say, there's something not quite right there, I need to have a conversation? How do you go about that?
Yeah, like I said, it's important for me because, at the moment as well, we've had quite a couple of new players that have come in, and usually over the course of a summer, that sort of changes. And a lot of the boys who, obviously we've got leaders that just naturally lead, and you can lead in different ways. Listen, I'm not saying you have to go and shout and bawl and be at 100%. If you think a captain's literally delivering week on week, you'll put so much pressure on yourself that it won't happen. And you see sometimes where you get taken out of the limelight a little bit in terms of your role, and so you can concentrate on you as an individual. But like I said, going back, you've just got to let what flows naturally. If you're the talker, if you're the doer, if you're the quiet person that sets the standards, you've just got to be you and not, try and sort of go and learn a new skill or engage in a new skill of, I'm good in that area, but kind of develop my communication. Do that, because you have to work on yourself all the time. You definitely do. And I think from learning, from reading, from social media, from TV, just all the different sort of outlet, you pick something new up all the time. You learn something new every day. And it's quite right, you can go off and go and find, new skills. And for me, because I've done it now quite in the last sort of 3 or 4 teams that I've been in the role, and I've got slightly older now, so I'm seeing younger lads sort of being introduced in terms of age. I just sort of know what to do. And people might be thinking, well, it comes to you, and you sort of, a bit like the way that you hone towards, you sort of move towards somebody who's got similar attributes, or you see like an opportunity with somebody. It's like that. And if you see, and obviously I've done quite a few of these conversations now, so I'm a bit more, I'd say, clued up in looking for signs and looking for changes in behaviour, and you see the lads pretty much day to day. We have a couple of days off, and you can see what their natural traits are, and then when it's a day where they're not them, that's my sort of time where I think, do you know what, something might be right, but I'm just going to see, where's he at this moment? Is it something that's happened with football? Is it something that's happened? Is he a brand new player coming in? He'll be feeling a little bit nervous. Has he come from a higher level to drop down the league? What's he thinking now? There's going to be all sorts going round, and we've got, like I said, that many different sort of things going on that we get that time to be able to do that, with us being on away trips, with us being at the training ground. And don't get me wrong, we go out, we do the session, but there are times where it's like downtime, where it's quite relaxed, and we just get a feed off each other. And the best dressing rooms that I've been in have been those that have been really tight-knit. You know, we'll say some of the best people you can rely on, they say the old saying is people that you can go and have a drink with. You know, people who you choose to go and have a drink down the pub with, or, you know, they're the best people you need to be around. You know, people that you trust. And I think we've all, like, the teams that I've always been successful in, I've always had that. And if you look at even teams that don't quite have the quality that some of, you know, the other teams have, you always see the best dressing rooms are the ones that are sort of tightly knit, that speak about things, you know, openly, and talk and share, and, you know, they go round to each other's house, they go for days out together, and they do the extra bit, and they make that sort of effort. And I can say, from doing talks like this with yourself, and just learning about myself more, and just sort of keeping it quite calm, relaxed, and not. You're going to have good days, you are going to have bad days, no matter who you are, even if you're limits and even if you're elite. You know, the elite people who try and do everything, I think back to the podcast I listened to, and, you know, some of the elite performers, business people, they would have had to endure struggles to learn, to evolve. So I just think, you know, probably can't stop that. You probably can't stop that. It's the reaction that you give that will change. And obviously, if you've got the right tools that you've been given from chats with yourself, and from sort of looking at, you know, characteristic stuff, and looking at yourself and going on being accountable of areas of your day, then you are going to evolve, and you are going to be more positive, and you are going to develop as a person. And that's what it is. It's about not shying away from the tough stuff, you know, the things that take you out of your comfort zone. And I think it's trying to hit them head on. And I know that's quite difficult to say, and you probably, you know, say like it's, you go into a room and you want to do a talk in front of everybody, and that's not your strength, and you're like, oh, you know, and you sort of psych it up, and it's, you know, you just try and be you, because you'll be judged either way. You'll be judged either way. But what you won't know is if you don't do it. You've got to just sort of go in there and see. You know, we talk about, we're doing our coaching badges. You know, you go in a session, you deliver the session. It doesn't have to work. You know, that session, that day doesn't have to work. You don't have to get it right that day. There's always a second chance, hopefully. You know, that you got the right plan in place. You can do things that the next day, or, you know, if the morning's not been good, the evening can be different. You know, you can have control of that. And I think in here we sort of do that, and things like bad results and people being out of the team, we can have those conversations quite open now. And
do you find that helps? Massively helps. Because you're in an environment with those who are in the same, they're having those same thoughts. So whether you think, do I say this to this person? Because you might think, well, you know, he would have thought that at some point. He would have had that thought. And if he didn't say it himself, he's probably glad you said that to him, because next time then he thinks, well, you know, Hogs came up to me there. That was decent of him. You know, it might just be a simple message. It might just be just a simple acknowledgement of somebody being there in the room. You know, you see it now. I've been in schools, I've been in colleges. You know, you're on your phones. You're not really acknowledging the room, people around you. You know, how are you going to learn about each other? You know, being nod of the head, hi, being polite, you know, your manners, speaking. You know, we have a thing here where you know, nobody's treated any different. The playing staff, the chef, cleaners, everybody's, you know, that's the environment it should be. So whatever role you are in life, you're on a level playing field with the next person to be able to have that conversation. You know, nobody's above you and nobody's below you. You should be able to engage with, you know, who you want. And, you know, people who, you know, sit on the phones and do all this, they ain't engaging, so they ain't going to learn anything about what's around them. They ain't going to learn about themselves.
yeah, they're obviously reading things and seeing, but like I said, a lot of the news, a lot of the stuff we read can be quite negative. So the more you do that, the more you listen to that, it sort of manifests into your world as well.
And with all that positive stuff that you've just spoke about, why is it, do you think, that in particular men find it really difficult to have this open conversation?
For me, in my position now, I feel that, I don't know how to put it, that's the most honest, sometimes feels a bit of a weakness. And I don't know why, but it feels like you've let the guard down a little bit of who people think you are and who you are. So if you come into a dressing room with a reputation, why do I need to keep that reputation? That's just one couple of people's opinion of me. You know, I need to go and be me. So if I'm telling somebody something open, you know, that's me developing as a person and looking after myself. It shouldn't be me. I'm going to hold that in and then it cause me a problem because somebody else's opinion is going to affect me. And there's been a fantastic thing recently in football with the lad that's, you know, he's come out openly gay, and I think that's brilliant, absolutely brilliant, because, you know, his struggle now might be easier. We're in a time now where his teammates will get round him and understand him more, and that's, you know, it's fantastic that for a dressing room to literally know whether he's suffered, whether he's not, of having it sort of in him. Things like that, you know, we found out, you know, one of the boys, like I mentioned, was diagnosed with a form of cancer, and we then now can relate, it becomes real. And that, like you say, opens more conversations, opens the changing room up more than it would for me to I need to keep this persona that I'm the captain. You know, nobody shoots the captain down, nobody questions the captain. You know, those sort of like things that you hear from back in the day. Captain's a tough guy. You know, nobody speaks up, nobody questions him. You know, he's authoritative. But it's not. We've got that many different, because it's an armband, because it's a sign that you're out there. As you know, it's a bit of trivia now in terms of the band. The band means loads in terms of who I represent, but the actual captain, there's 11, there's 20, there's the whole group is a captain in some way or form. And you know, sometimes you get the odd thing where, you know, you can't drop the captain. You know, he's got to stay out there. But there's other lads that can then step in. And I say that sometimes, you know, openly. I say, it's not about me being the front runner all the time and showing all my qualities in front of everybody. It's being then allowed to step back and letting somebody else's qualities come into the group as well. It's being able to read the room. It's not forcing things on people that they don't want to do, because, like I said, we're all individuals. We all do stuff differently. Things work differently for each other. And like I said, it's probably one of those things where when I was earlier on, I was like, look, if I sort of come away from what I'm personaed to be, will people question me? But now it's, well, they'll question me anyway. So I need to go through this for me, give the information that they will probably more respect than you not saying anything. That you're in the same boat, you're at the same level, you're in the same trenches in terms of football. We talk about, you know, is your best mate at the side, or has he got your back? And it's one of them where it's not about fronting up and being something that you're not. It's trying to strip back and showing them what you really are. And you'll gain more respect that way. And I feel I've gained more respect that way from having those sort of intimate conversations with people that you probably won't have as a bigger group. But like I said, from going from one person to the next, you're then connecting people, and they get on the same wavelength then. And like I said, that's in any environment.
We talk about life, and we can't separate our business life or maybe our football life from the day-to-day stuff. Yeah. And we were speaking realistically about a dear friend of yours who sadly
Yeah,
committed
yeah.
suicide.
Yeah.
And we just know that the suicide rate within men is high.
Yeah.
Because maybe these issues aren't being spoke about.
Yeah.
How would you go about encouraging people to find the right advice to talk?
Yeah, that's what I was saying to you before. I find that quite difficult where we've got the thing of speak out. And I feel for some, yeah, they will and they'll seek that. But I feel like that's going to take a lot. And I think it's quite important. And I understand people have got things that are going on in their own life, to be in touch with those that are around them in terms of, you know, seeing the daily actions of what they do and noticing behavioural changes and actually asking them the question before they speak out. Because I feel like if I was a person that had a lot on my shoulders, you know, there'd be a lot going on. It wouldn't be for me then to say and blurt it out. I just probably wouldn't be able to release it. But then if somebody came to me and said, look, you know, how's your sleep? Did you sleep, like I said, the conversation, how did you sleep last night? How many hours did you get? And that then goes into, oh yeah, I feel a bit, do you know what, I don't feel myself today. You know, and it's not anything, you know, sleep's really important, massively, in you know, especially in sport and everything. You know, if you can get your sleep, and a lot of people struggle to sleep, and then things, you know, manifest from that. And we had a big thing where we had a talk about, you know, getting your hours in, making sure that, you know, you reset your body for the next day as best you can, because you need to optimally work. You need to put the right stuff in your body in terms of diet, you know, hydration, because the mind, the nerves, the muscles, they all work in connection with, you know, we say what fuel you put inside you is literally what you give you. And if you've had sort of I don't know, it's quite difficult in terms of busy lifestyles and getting the right balance, because again, that's putting pressure on yourself, and I think you still need to let that flow. But thinking about what do I eat, you know, for me, tea time at the minute is two twins that want to feed milk at the same time, my little girl that's flicking spaghetti everywhere, and me and Grace like, whoa, when do we eat? And that's a realistic lifestyle. I came home from the game on Tuesday night, and it was obviously a little bit food after the game, straight into the 11 o'clock feed. So I've got home, you know, we've had a poor defeat. Lads are, you know, literally at the bottom. You know, those boys that can probably go home and go to sleep and sort of put it behind them. But for me, I was straight into life away from football. And in terms of, like I say, ideal preparation, I don't think there can ever be an ideal preparation. You've just got to sort of manage what's there and what suits you. You know, there's this perception that, yeah, you've got to, you know, if you're at the top of your game, you've got to, you know, so there was a thing that come out with Ronaldo the other day where he doesn't eat the dessert at dinner. And it just puts pressure on people. Well, do I need to do that? But what worked for that person, they need to keep doing the same thing. So for me, although it's been a big change in my lifestyle of being able to manage home life and football, I'm now learning something new about myself that I didn't know, and I'm embracing it, and what will be will be. And at some point you're going to then retrain your body, your mind to deal with that situation. And at first it is a bit of a blur, and it's a bit of like, you've been hit in the face with something. But then it's stepping away from that and sort of seeing, you know, what structure can I get in place here that's going to help me be the best possible, you know, to deal with that. And like I say, being able to see the signs of things, of behaviours and sort of typical trends of people and the group, and you know, naturally, even when you win a game, people could be in that dressing room that have struggled throughout that day, and it masks because everyone's up cheering, shouting. So there's always something that's going on, and I feel having somebody around me that asks those questions, that has them little chats, whether it be somebody professionally, whether it's your best mate, whether it's your wife, because you might find sometimes when you get in those ruts of sort of fatigue, daily life that's repetitive, you probably stop speaking to people. you stop having them conversations because you get into an auto mode of the next day's, end of the day, the end of the week's there already. Where's them last 6 days gone? What did I do in them 6 days? You know, because people are so engaged in work and so engaged in things that, you know, like I said, you've got to have those conversations and just sort of know that you'll be judged either way, but especially with the loved ones around you, they're only going to have support for you. And I found that, you know, with my wife now, she's been unbelievable. I've been at football all day today. She's had the kids at home. She's come away from her career to look after them. Obviously, she's on maternity leave, so she's had big changes. And that, like I said, that can go from literally anything in any walk of life. But we talk, and I see how she feels. She asks me what she needs, and we support each other that way. And that's the same as what we do with a group of lads in the changing room. It's the same as what I do if I speak to my mum, if it's the same as I speak to my dad. You know, Dad, I ask him how the game goes, I get his opinion on things, and does he need anything? It's just being there, being present, and not sort of letting the days pass by.
And I'm engaging really with all of those things and all summarising all those things up. In your opinion, it's important to talk.
It is important, absolutely, and that's what I find. I feel like the start of the conversation is the most difficult because how do you approach it? What do you say? Obviously myself, I can go down the routes where I've learnt some of the stuff where I can ask the right questions, but some people won't be aware, and like you say, it's, you know, if I ask him and he comes back to me and he says, no, like, I'm really struggling, what do I do as a person then? I'm not trained to deal with something that's gone wrong. I'm open, he says, yeah, I'm good. And that's the conversation done. Some people will find that they have that. You know, a lot of people will turn around and go, you know, I'm not, actually, I've had a... And that person might then say, well, I think we need to speak. You know, I think we need to find something that works for you. I think we need to go and talk to somebody. You know, that person might feel they can give them something anyway. But a lot of the conversations, some people will probably ask people and hope they say, yeah, they're all right. Because they feel like, you know, I wouldn't be in the right qualification to deal with what they're going to say to me next. But it's sharing what experiences you have and haven't had between you. And like you say, being open and just sort of highlighting really when things have changed. I wouldn't say when things are not okay, because I think you still need to talk. If you ask me, you know, on a good day, you know, I'd chat your ear off. I could say everything I did, but I still think that's important, because then you get to notice what your good days, what you persona your good days are and what your bad days are, and you'll find that balance then, because it's, nobody's going to have, you know, they're not always bad days, they're not, and they're not always going to be good days. So you've got to sort of accept that as an individual, that's okay.
Liam, thank you.
You're very welcome. Thanks yourself. Appreciate the chat.